Good morning. Welcome to the Mainline Unitarian Church. I'm Dr. Tracy Simpson, a member of your Board of Trustees. It's so good to be with you this morning, whether you are here in person or joining us online. I'm also delighted to welcome our visitors today. Please join us after the service for coffee and conversation across the hall in the fireside room so we can get to know you. We come together today in love to support one another as we seek spiritual growth, connection, and more fulfilled lives. Our actions together create a more just, compassionate, and equitable world. Through our individual Unitarian Universalist journeys, we are guided by our 7 principles, including the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, compassion, and acceptance of one another. We are a community of many beliefs, identities, and experiences, seeking to create an ever wider circle of welcome and love. Whoever you are, wherever you've been, whoever you love, and wherever you are on life's journey, you are warmly, joyfully welcome here. In that spirit of warm welcome, let us now take just a moment to greet one another with a handshake, a hug, or a hello. Thank you, everyone. All right, while we strive to make our services accessible, you can find listening assistive devices by the sanctuary doors in the basket. And be sure to check out today's order of service or online to learn about our upcoming activities. Please take a moment now to welcome Rick McKnight with a message from our Right Relations team.
Good morning, everyone. Did you even know you had a Right Relations team? Well, you do. Under the able leadership of Carol Hillman, Nanda Hydrisco, Kim Biles, Margot Wirt, and myself have been asked by the board to help the congregation develop a covenant. So far, our work has included meeting with several groups here at the church who've given us input by telling stories about what it's like to be a member here and what our congregation looks like at its best. Thank you. Your insights have been invaluable. Let me ask you a question by a show of hands. How many of you could clearly define the word covenant, not in the legal sense, but in the congregational sense? Well, you're better than me. Because when all this started, I couldn't have defined it. But what I've learned is this. A covenant is a set of promises that a people make to one another in order to achieve a shared purpose. That raises the question, what's our shared purpose? What are we trying to do together? We will answer that question in a moment, and we'll say it aloud. It's our mission statement. We say it every Sunday. So if we're serious about transforming lives, we need to ask, what promises do we make to one another to live out that mission? And more importantly, what do we do if and when, inevitably, we fall short of those promises? To explore these questions, we are inviting all of you, the entire congregation, to take part in one or both of 2 large group conversations after Sunday services in the coming year. We hope you will join us for one or both. The dates are January 18th and February 15th. I will repeat those. We will gather in a spirit of listening and reflection around themes that go to the heart of our shared life. We've learned that many congregations create a covenant, and then it becomes a document that goes in a file, and no one ever sees it or hears about it again. We intend differently. So at these meetings, we will ask how we can ensure that our covenant becomes a meaningful part of our lives together. After we've gotten your input, we've already gotten input from some of the groups at church. We will draft a covenant, which we will put before you for your discussion and approval. After that, the board will form a right relations team of lay leaders to help the congregation live into the covenant. Again, those dates are January 18th and February 15th. Please, please join us. Free lunch.
So leading our service today, we welcome our senior minister, Reverend John Morehouse, our Director of Learning and Family Ministries, Dawn Star Sarahs-Borchelt, our music director, Mr. David Brown, and pianist Jodie Brown, and some special guest musicians today, Kerstin Potter and Bob Purrenhage. Our esteemed media team is taking care of our media, and I will also be your worship associate today. So please join me now in affirming our mission statement. Together, we transform lives through love, service, and our welcoming faith.
So, before we start our music, I'd like to say a few words about how we chose the pieces for today's service, which honors Hanukkah. The first 2 pieces are Sephardic traditional songs, that is, sung by Jews in Spain before they were expelled in the 15th century. The second 2 pieces, so the third and the fourth piece, come from the court of Alfonso X of Castile. So that takes us about 200 years earlier, before the Sephardic ones. We chose that because Alfonso X had a very, very open-minded court where Christians, Jews, and Muslims all interacted freely together, and they translated each other's holy books for each other, and they played music together. And you might pick up some of that cross-fertilization between the cultures in our later pieces. So now the first piece is a traditional Sephardic piece, Los Bilbilicos Cantan. And the text is so beautiful, I will have to tell you about it first. Los Bilbilicos Cantan, the little nightingales sing. En an árbol de la flor, in a blooming tree. The ones, debajo se sientan, the ones that sit on the low branches, are the ones that suffer from love. Los Bilbilicos Cantan en el árbol de la flor. Los Bilbilicos cantan en el árbol de la flor. Debajo se sentan que los sufren del amor. Debajo se sentan que los sufren del amor.
Our chalice lighting today is called Sacred in the Ordinary by Tamara Lebak. We light this chalice and remember that the miracle is not a supernatural event, but the wonder found in everyday life, community, human connection, and the natural world. We gather this day to be reminded of the sacred in the ordinary, the feel of the earth beneath our feet, the crisp, cool air on our skin, the joy of being welcomed by our fellow travelers, the warmth of this place. Help us this day to be fully present in our living, awake to each breath. Help us to remember that we did not make this day, but that we have the glorious pleasure to greet each moment as it unfolds, to reach out and kiss its cheek as though it were a visitor who has come a long way just to see us. Would you now please rise as you can in body and spirit and join us in singing hymn number 400, Shalom Havayreem, Peace, my friends, until we meet again.
Tonight will be the 8th and final night of Hanukkah. Many of our Jewish members and family members and friends have been celebrating this holiday of light this past week, lighting their menorahs. Hanukkah celebrates a miracle that happened a long, long time ago, almost 2,200 years ago. There was a tyrant who outlawed the practice of Judaism, and the Jewish resistance fought back, and they won. But then when they were able to return to the temple, there was only enough oil to light the lamps for one night. The miracle was that the oil lasted for 8 nights, long enough for them to send for more oil and continue their community. Tracy's going to light the menorah for us. Is it on? Did we not turn it on?
I don't use it very often.
No, it's not you.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not on. There we go. Now it's on. It is on now, but they got to turn it on back there. Yeah. There we
The
go.
red light's on now, thanks. So just to let you know that the holiday of Hanukkah is not a celebration of winning a war or warriors or Maccabees or anything like that. It's about the light. It's about bringing the light. And if you notice, Jewish families, they put the menorah in the window so that you can drive by and you can see the light, and the light will lift you up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadleg ner shel Hanukkah. Thank you, everyone. This one doesn't want to light. There we go. Thank you very much.
Children and youth may join me in the atrium, and we'll sort you out to where you're supposed to be today.
Each month, we donate half our weekly collection to a worthy organization in need. The recipient of our offering outreach for December is our very own Ministers' Discretionary Fund. Disbursements made to the MDF are intended to assist individuals in need of emergency or critical assistance and community organizations and other UU churches and with unforeseen needs. The fund is entirely supported by donations from members and friends. It has been used for such needs as rent assistance, prescriptions, food, utilities, and other unforeseen or emergency items. It is a lifeline to members of our congregation and to our larger community. The offering will now be gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? Here at MLUC, it is our custom to share our personal joys and sorrows, expecting to be heard, accepted, and supported. Candles of Community is our ritual of personal sharing and support. After each candle is lit, please join me in saying, "We hold you in our hearts." Oh, Carol's here. Thank you. Barbara Welsh lights a candle of joy this morning for last Sunday's continuing tradition of the annual holiday workshop. Thanks to Rebecca Polis for organizing the event, assisted by Beth Rittenhouse, who got everyone organized that day. Several different craft tables were staffed by our congregants, and committee member Sam Stewart did an excellent job of cleaning up afterwards. While the event was impacted by the first big snow of the season, about 100 people still came and enjoyed themselves and built connections. Rebecca Polis lights a candle of joy for all those who stepped in and ran the holiday workshop. We're getting it from both sides today. In her absence, because she wasn't there. Beth Rittenhouse, Sam Stewart, Mia Carpinello, and the Bilsbeck-Scholl family, and anyone else she might have missed. For the holiday workshop team, we hold you in our hearts. Rev John now has a surprise for you.
Surprise. Every year around this time, I think of the staff and how thankful we are for all of you and to be able to serve you in our mission. But I came across a video recently from our own facilities manager, Ron D'Annunzio. He wrote this little piece for his family, but I want you to imagine he's singing it to you. Ron's given us complete editorial license to put the words up, be transcribed, as well as to do a little bit of editing. So with that, let's run the video.
So anyhow, I'm here at work. It's 3:30 in the morning. This is going to be a surprise for the family. But anyhow, if you bear with me here, and I hope everybody likes it. Let me take out my music. Okay. Sit back and enjoy. Do you remember me? My name is Ronnie D. I wrote to you with many fantasies. But I am 60 now, and I say, holy cow. I never thought my life would be so wow. Now here's my one big dream, that my children get to see their mom and dad with many anniversaries. No more lives torn apart. The wars will never start, and time would heal our heart. And everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love would never end. This is my grown-up Christmas list. As daughters you are 3, and we are proud of thee. We love the way you raise your family. My grandkids, you're the best. Me and Gran, we get no rest. That's why we always say that we are blessed. No more lives torn apart. The wars will never start, and time would heal our heart. And everyone would have a friend, and right would always win, and love This is my grown-up Christmas list. So, that's a little something from me to you guys. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Now you see why we couldn't resist, right? Anyway, Merry Christmas from all of their staff to all of you. Tracy.
Please join me in the reflective reading today called Each Candle is a Miracle, by Amandus Udis Kessler. It's a responsive reading, so I will read the first line and then we'll take some turns. We light the Hanukkah candles in wonder, joy, and gratitude, each candle a miracle. Only 1 day's worth of oil remained, yet it burned for 8 days. We rededicate ourselves to the miracle of light in a season of darkness, a miracle of trust in the time of anxiety, to the miracle of hope in the time of despair, to the miracle of faith in a time of cynicism. We rededicate ourselves to the miracle of wholeness in the time of fracture, to the miracle of courage in a time of fear, to the miracle of resistance in a time of oppression, to the miracle of peace in a time of violence, and in a time of hatred, we rededicate ourselves to the miracle of love. Thank you.
Kerstin and Bob, thank you. I don't even know where you get these instruments. They're amazing, right? Fabulous. Fantastic. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you for showing up. I know that the holidays are stressful for many of us and lonely for some of us. And I'm always glad to see a great group of people like you here. Smiling faces, and I know there's some smiling faces at home too, and welcome, we're glad you're here with us. I grew up in a small town, Croton-on-Hudson, New York, in the Hudson River Valley, north of New York City. While a good portion of the town's residents commuted to jobs in the city, many lived and worked in the construction trades in northern Westchester County. Like here in Philadelphia, these folks were predominantly Italian and Irish ancestors of the men who came to build the railroad, first up the Hudson River line, and the massive Croton Dam and the aqueduct that feeds most of New York City with water. Many of my friends were the sons of these hardworking people, culturally Catholic, deeply loyal to God and country. But I didn't live down in the town. My folks lived up on the hill, as it was known, a place more gentrified and more politically left-leaning than the town itself. In fact, Mount Airy, the name of the hill, became famous as a radical enclave and was known for many years as Red Hill. In the early 20th century, it attracted writers and artists and communists like the revolutionary journalist John Reed, who lived there with Louis Bryant before his trip to Russia and his eventual burial on the Kremlin wall. The 1981 movie Reds is about his life and has scenes from my hometown in it. The Red Hill hosted these socialists and communists and formed a significant hub in the 1930s and the 40s of what would become the American radical left. It also housed many artists, including many musicians, including the folk singer Lee Hayes, who was the band leader for the folk group The Weavers. Some of you of a certain age will know what I'm talking about. He lived next door to my best friend, and I would spend Sunday afternoons at Lee's house, where people would be just jamming. It was there that I met Pete Seeger and Don McLean, who wrote Bye Bye American Pie. The Hill was also known for its large Jewish population, mostly liberal and progressive Jews who worshiped at the Reformed Temple Israel down the street from where I lived. I grew up learning about Hanukkah and dreidels and latkes from some of my closest Jewish friends, and I have to say, as a kid, I was always jealous of the 8 days of Hanukkah, because they got presents on all 8 days and we only had Christmas with the one. At one point, I asked my mother why we couldn't become Jewish. And she was raised a highbrow Episcopalian. She said, "It doesn't work that way, my dear. You have to be born of a Jewish mother." Somewhat correct, but later, as I learned, you could convert to Judaism. And there's been times in my career when I think I should have. I understood Judaism to be a religion of light. It was always that for me. In fact, in that Reformed synagogue in my hometown, they also sponsored my Boy Scout troop. And I remember the rabbi explaining to us once what he thought Judaism was in as short a sentence as possible. Not quite like Rabbi Hillel, who said, stand on one foot and say, serve others as you would have them serve you, golden rule, all the rest is commentary. But he said something close to that. He said, try being in God's light. We try to be in God's light and then serve one another as we would like to be served. Light was such a primary metaphor for Judaism that I always wondered if our flaming chalice wasn't somehow borrowed from our Jewish friends. To this day, the metaphor of light, especially at Hanukkah, speaks of the highest values of Judaism. And those values deeply align with our own Unitarian Universalist values. It connects us to the themes of courage and freedom and resilience and bringing light into darkness, which is something we are doing right now here. Many Unitarian Universalists see Hanukkah as one of the Jewish traditions which enhances our pluralistic religious life. We have core values inside our theological diversity of inclusivity, of shared values of love and justice, equity and interdependence, and we don't hold these as creeds, but as markers to how we should act. And I think that you will find the same is true of Judaism. Hanukkah, which the word literally means dedication, recalls, of course, the rededication of the temple after resistance to oppression, and it is framed as a festival of faith and light. Ritual lightings of the menorah over the 8 nights symbolize the resilience, the choice to act even when those resources were insufficient, and the commitment to let one's light shine publicly in the face of fear. Hanukkah and our values meet in this light. But there's a tension now, and always has been, between the values of Judaism and the polarized world in which we now live. Even when I was growing up, there were fights in middle school, I remember them, between the working class kids in the village or the town center and the kids from the hill. This was largely fueled by a latent anti-Semitism that still lingers, of course, all over the world. And now this tension is even more complicated, isn't it? The state of Israel under Netanyahu has become increasingly Zionist and reactionary towards any population that is not Jewish. This is not the majority view of the people of Israel, who mostly think we should be able to live side by side. But it is a faction of the hard right that has taken over the government, not unlike what we are suffering from now. This reactionary right in Judaism has made strange bedfellows with the evangelical Christian movement, who supports this Judaism of the right wing because it will herald the second coming of Jesus, according to the book of Revelation. And our own administration, which has now labeled any dissident behavior as anti-Semitic. I remind you all, and I want this to be your takeaway for the day, that the state of Israel is not Judaism. Amen. The state of Israel, of course, came into being after World War II as part of what is known as the Balfour Agreements, wherein a portion of the Palestine territories would be given over to the Jewish people as a place of refuge and self-determination. There they established the state of Israel, and its many expansions over the years have been largely led by the Zionist wing. Now, the state of Israel as a state has claimed divine mandate to re-inhabit the lands of Palestine. This, they say, according to biblical history, and they perceive this as a mandate from God. As in the time of ancient Israel, the occupation entailed the removal of people who were already living there. These were not lands without anybody living in them. They were full of people, native Palestinians. And in each of the subsequent wars, Israel has expanded that territory by force. Since the 1970s, though, something else has started happening out of the right wing of the state of Israel that is even more disturbing. And that is taking land from Palestinians in what is known as settlement. This has been supported by the Israeli Defense Force and has led to the dispossession of thousands and thousands of Palestinians. Now, the culture that permits this sort of persecution, I think, is still being born of the collective guilt the Western powers felt towards the atrocities of the Holocaust. Indeed, having a refuge from that incredible persecution that Jews have been subjected to over millennia is noble and I think is right, in my opinion. But the continued displacement of Palestinians is simply wrong. It's my opinion that I agree with Ta-Nehisi Coates that Israel now lives in an apartheid state. The Jewish people, he said, in the state of Israel have sought to restore the honor lost to the Nazis by warring against Arabs in the breach. Prime Minister Netanyahu put this more succinctly back in 2015 when he was invited by the Republican majority of the House, not President Obama, to address the joint houses. And in this speech, if some of you may have remembered seeing it, I did look at it, he said, overlooking us all in this august chamber is the image of Moses. He was referring to the ceiling above the house chamber. He said, Moses led our people from slavery to the gates of the promised land. And before the people of Israel entered the land of Israel, Moses gave us a message that has steeled our resolve for thousands of years. Netanyahu said, be strong and resolute, be not in fear or dread of them. This from the book of Deuteronomy. Congress, or at least the Republican side of Congress, roared to their feet. And sadly, the them he was referring to was the Palestinian people. Judaism has a history that is steeped in cultures, including one of militancy and might. And from the biblical past and the stories of Abraham and Moses and Joshua, we learn of the accounts of occupation. But that's not what Hanukkah is about, to Tracy's point. What Hanukkah is about is not the occupation about a warring people against another people. It's about the rededication of love. The pogroms of the past, the Holocaust of the last century, should give people an ample reason to fight back. I don't argue that at all. But morally, my question is this to us all. Where does the right of existence go beyond safety to the boundaries of conquest? I think simply separating politics and faith is just not enough. I think we, particularly as progressive people, need to reimagine and rehold Hanukkah as the light it was meant to be. The great Rabbi Jonathan Sacks once said, faith is the ability to see the miraculous in every day, not about waiting every day for the miraculous. That's the heart of Hanukkah. The heart of Hanukkah is faith in what we cannot yet see, courage to act even when we feel unprepared, and the hope that sustains us when the future seems uncertain. That's the meaning of Hanukkah to me. And of course, the state of Israel is going to be influenced by its faith. How could it be otherwise? And of course, Palestinians are going to be influenced by Islam. How could it be otherwise? But the faith that I'm calling us to is the faith that means there's a better world, not the end of the world. Do you hear me? When faith alone is seen as a justification for any means, jihad or occupation, we lose the thread of our humanity. And that's where we, as Unitarian Universalists and all good people, come in. Hanukkah can remind us that the light can begin small, a single flame, a single act of courage, and grow brighter and brighter as we continue to show up. And my friends, you are seeing that happen in real time in the political landscape of our country. We are growing brighter and brighter. Here's the thing. A miracle is not enough. The miracle is in what we do with what we have. The light we seek is not the end of all history. It's not the realization of God or nirvana or heaven. It's our deepest selves. It's our deepest selves that calls on us to use love at the center of our humanity to do something more than what we've been able to do in the past. This is what I'm getting at. What kind of faith, what method of faith could find its way into the Middle East? It's an age-old question. Administrations after administration in our country have been trying to bring peace to the Middle East. But I think we all know, and I'll be a little political here and go out on the limb and say that the only way that's going to happen is if there are two states. That's right. In many ways, as my colleague Christian Schmidt put it, the story of Hanukkah is a story of light being reimagined. While everyone seems to agree that Hanukkah is about a miracle, there are different interpretations of what the miracle was. And like any religious tradition, there are different threads of authority and definitely different schools of thought. But as we need to hold up the miracle of light as a means to a better world, not light as a symbol of conquest. We are drawn into the future from possibilities that we are not able yet to see. Our free faith is one that draws from many sources, including all the faith sources. The reason I'm wearing the stole I'm wearing today, given to me by an interfaith colleague on her deathbed, was that the freedom and posture of inclusion is central to Unitarian Universalism. It's not believe in whatever you want, it's believe in the best of what we have. That's the heart of our faith. It invites us to welcome people from so many different backgrounds into our big tent. And while this diversity brings blessings and richness, it also brings challenge. Opinions emerge in congregations with so many people and so many different ideas of what's right. And you all have ideas, and I'm certain I'm going to hear from someone in this congregation about what I'm preaching here this morning. But that's part of the magic of who we are, right? We're the big tent faith, where the diversity of belief is our starting place, not our ending place. And here we engage with perspectives that are so much larger than our own. Here we find that we engage with the light of Hanukkah. We are doing something more than just the miracle of oil lasting longer than it should have. We are doing something about the integrity of the story itself and the lives we want to live. Hanukkah is a celebration of Jewish religious cultural survival against incredible odds. But it's also the story about how harmful it is for a people to live under occupation and denied basic rights that others enjoy. As my colleague Kerstin Schmidt put it, I think maybe the Maccabees needed those 8 nights because they had to rededicate themselves as well. They had been warriors, but now the people needed to learn to live with each other as neighbors again. The Maccabees had to turn from battle to peacemaking. That is how the Jewish community stayed together. And that is why the festival of Hanukkah is celebrated today, because the miracle is in staying together. I think often of the difficulties of my childhood with the different people, in my boyhood, and how they fought with one another. And if I had the words then that I have now, I would say, don't you realize? We're all here together. This is all we have. To succeed in turning our warrior self towards the compassion and peace that is at the heart of who we are, the light of these candles is only one such way, but it is the way that we remember it now and every year. And I invite all of us in the courage of that light and living that love. So may it be. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, which I won't bother to pronounce. David, take it away.
But I can help with that, because who's excited to sing a song in a language you've never heard of? So, Ocho Candalicas is a Hanukkah song that my mother taught me many, many years ago, and it's in the Ladino language. So Kerstin described a little bit about Sephardic music, this merger of Jewish and Spanish culture. Well, the Ladino language is just that. It is sort of hybrid Spanish and Hebrew together. The tune is very simple, and so are the words. I assure you, they're quite pronounceable. You will find. We'll play the melody once, and we'll try to sing it together.
Ocho candelas para mí. Hanukkah aquí. Ocho candelas para mí. Oh, muchas fiestas vou fazer, com alegria sem prazer. Muchas fiestas vou fazer, com alegria sem prazer. Oh, una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Vi comer con almendricas y miel, los pastelicos fui comer con almendricas y miel. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí.
I close with these words, friends. At a rally, the songwriter and activist Holly Near asked people to sing her song, "We Are Gentle, Angry People," which is in our hymnal, of course. One of the lines talks about us being a hopeful people. And someone in the crowd shouted, "I'm not feeling hopeful right now." And Holly Near replied, "Hope's not a feeling, it's a commitment." Now our service truly begins, but let us listen to the postlude. Thank you.